out. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about today was how that technical conversation is expanding. You know, tech isn't what it used to be. It's actually part of a lot of different fields now, and so that's part of the conversation that we want to have to try to make tech more inclusive. So I'm going to hand it over to Elaine. She's going to talk a little bit more about tech fields of study.
So yeah, just throw out, what are some traditional fields of study for tech that you guys can think of? Just throw them out. Computer science.
Programming.
Math.
Engineering. Yeah.
IT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, that's it. But there's a lot of other fields of study. Give me some other fields of study. Not tech-oriented. Other fields of study. Medical. Okay.
Astronautical.
Business, some more other one.
Entertainment.
Art.
Art.
Law.
Education.
Hey. This one is a little bit bigger list, and this is not, this is just what we kind of put together. Another big reveal here, right? A little bit different, right? A lot more fields.
Pardon me.
But how
Would you mind
do these
moving over one
jobs,
seat?
or excuse me, these fields of study translate into careers in tech? Ideas. They all have tech jobs. They all have tech jobs. Well, one of the things I like to point out is how many of you have those little thingies that we carry around in our hands that we can attach to? There's your tech. So even if you don't consider yourself tech, that's one way to think about it, is tech. So Lauren, you want to help me, or Kiki, you want to help me? So some of the ideas that we came up in the new world. Look at this. We're going very low tech. There's some jobs. Probably something you didn't think about. They involve technology. I mean, one of my favorites is down here, the digital music composer. Different fields that are using technology. It has evolved so quickly, it's hard to keep pace with it. So, how do you keep pace with that? Well, I know one of the tools that I personally used was social media. Social media has allowed me to see the evolution of technology and use in all these different fields. If you had told me, back in the day when I was in school, which was really a long time ago, that somebody with a degree in sociology would go into tech, I'd be like, no. Well, user behavior, user experience, yeah, they can go into tech. It's pretty awesome. So, social media is how you can connect on these things. It's how you can learn. I was an early adopter. We were talking of LinkedIn. LinkedIn allowed me to stay in touch with people that I had worked with and watch their careers change, watch them evolve and get into things that I had no idea technology would be part of. Early adopter, I've been on over 11 years, so a long time. It's a great tool for that connection piece. So the panel today is going to share with you some of their experiences around social media and particularly LinkedIn and what it can do for you. Okay? So we have Kiki Protzman, Julie Davidson, Anderson, sorry, Selah Shepard, I got it right, and then Lauren. So I'm going to go ahead and let these ladies introduce themselves, give a background, and then we'll have a couple questions. After we do some of our questions, we're going to open it up for you guys to ask them some questions, and then afterwards we're going to have an activity for those of you that want to participate. Okay?
Great. Thanks. I'm Kiki Protzman. I came to social media a long time ago. Won't go into it, but LinkedIn, I've been a member, it turns out, since 2006. It's been very helpful to me. So back in the day, I was very interested in technology. I did the housewife thing, realized that I wasn't happy, I needed something more, and I ended up going back to school. And I went back to school for computer science, and it shook me just how few women there were in my class. In fact, one of my first classes, there were 2 women. We were both named Christy, which is why I go by Kiki now. Had to differentiate myself. But I found that that was the story over and over. Whenever I would be in a tech class, there were just very few women, and I wanted to get to the bottom of it. I wanted to figure out why that was. And the more research I did, the more I realized that while other people were talking about mentorship and needing a mentor in order to stay strong and stay in computer science, I realized it was really exposure. That I felt like what I was actually seeing is not just that these people had had a parent that was in computer science or technology, but that they they got exposed to it young. So I started researching how we could get children more involved in actual technology young without sitting them in front of a computer. And that's where Thinkersmith came along. So I started a nonprofit in 2011 called Thinkersmith, and we created unplugged computer science activities to try and get students more into the ideas behind computer science, so that things like algorithms and functions, that they didn't scare children when they got to high school or college. And they felt like they had the same background as some of those other people who might have self-identified as liking technology young. In addition, the other thing that really gives me some unique experience is while I was teaching at the U of O, I taught for about 3 years computer science, and one of the things that I did was I hosted their recruiting class, so their careers and internship class for technology. And so I was with a lot of technology, well, people who were about to be technology professionals, getting some insight as to what the business wanted and getting some insight as to what students were having coming out of school, and trying to figure out how to match those. And one of the biggest things that ended up being a great help to get those people matched accurately was social media. So that's what I'm hoping to bring today.
I'm Julie Anderson, and I'm Julie on Twitter. I just posted a picture of us with all our Twitter names on there, just in case anybody else is on Twitter. Story of how I got into technology and into social media. I have a degree in fine arts, and my dream was to be a drama teacher, and I was actually, and I did lots of other jobs in between. I got into technology in, I think it was 2003 or 2004, when my neighbor started an IT consulting company and asked me to be her recruiter. I didn't even know what IT meant. I was staying home at the time and with young children and doing art classes out of my studio. And so she explained what IT was. Google had, was there. We were all starting to use it. So I would be calling data architects and CIOs, sometimes from big companies, to recruit them. And I had Google open and cheat sheets with what everything meant. Like, it was a new language to me. What I found is people who were cool, wonderful people, and were patient and kind, those were the people I put on through to the interviewers. So I got a good reputation for bringing them really good people. And then I got involved with LinkedIn around that time through other recruiters. And at first I thought, this is great, I'm going to give away all my leads. This doesn't make any sense. And then pretty quickly I learned, no, this is a gold mine of connection. And then when Twitter started, it just opened up a new world to me, because all of a sudden I could talk to anybody I wanted directly. And in the early days, people were still fairly open, right? So you'd have CEOs of big companies, brand managers. I was doing a lot of marketing stuff. I was working for a tech marketing company. I could literally just talk to anybody I wanted, and they would usually always answer. So then I started using it for business development and outreach. And anyway, through a long course of events, I'm now at HP, and I've been there for 5 years. And I run one of the social media channels for a brand new program that we just launched a year ago for called HP Developers, and that's we're releasing a bunch of our technology to developers, so I do a lot of outreach events where I'm using social media to find people and hook them up, and do meetups at code shops with all the developers, or do meetups like this and find people who want to use HP's technology. And LinkedIn I still use for business development. One of the good sort of case study is I was working on the HP mobile photo team, and we're trying to get our mobile print code into mobile photo apps. So apps like Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook. And we were having a hard time getting into Snapchat. They just couldn't get anybody to answer. Even the sort of senior level people were trying to get the right person in Snapchat to talk to. And I found, just through my years of even recruiting, you got to figure out exactly who you want, right? So when I was doing sales, it was easy to try to go find the salesperson I could talk to at a big company. But for this kind of work, that's not who I want. I often want the VP of product. They're the one making the apps. So I need to find them and convince them to talk to our
lead senior developers so that we can get those guys talking about code, and then they're more likely to do what I want. So, but it's hard to find who's the VP of product at Snapchat, or who do I know, or how I can get in there. So on LinkedIn, you just type in VP of product, Snapchat, or you type Snapchat and developers, and that's where your keywords and stuff come up and help you. And all of a sudden you get a whole list of everybody there. Now most people might tell you, if you pay for an online seminar for LinkedIn, you don't have to, you have Kiki here after, you know, if you're connected to somebody who's connected to that person, ask for a referral, ask for a reference. No, I don't do that. What I do is I Google them, and so it was Snapchat came up in LinkedIn, and I said, CTO at the time was Nick Bell. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll see if I can talk to Nick Bell, because he seems like a good one. So I Google Nick Bell. I find his blog. I find his Twitter handle. I find everything about Nick Bell. I read through his blog. I really pay attention to what he's talking about, what's important to him. And then I go up to Twitter, and I follow him. I like a bunch of his stuff right away, so that he can see me. I respond to him. And I'm super clear, these guys are busy, we're all busy. It's okay to network on Twitter if you do it the right way. And I say, hi Nick, I work at HP in mobile photo, would love to chat with you. Exactly what I want. I'm not trying to do a sales job. You know, I figure out what he needs, and I do a lot of homework. Then I start talking to him, then I get an email, and then that email, those emails take a long time to write. They gotta be good. What's in it for him, what's in it for us, has to be short, less than 300 or 400 words, you know, and say, here's what we're doing, here's who we'd like to talk to, here's why, can you pass me the right person. He's the CTO of Snapchat, which for us was a big deal. And he says, awesome, this sounds great, here are the other people you need to talk to, I've copied them, go for it, set up a call. I get my guys, we set up a call, and all of a sudden we're talking to the Snapchat team. So, it's much easier than you might think. But a big part of it is really being because not so. That's how I use social media. And sort of all the hoops.
Right now, most of our paid ads are focused in Facebook, Instagram, some Pinterest, but we're really excited about LinkedIn and all that's available out there for social paid ads. So when I'm not doing all of that, I am tending to my 2 children, which are tons of work. They like to run really fast, jump really high, and they're really hairy. They're horses, in case you didn't catch that. So I'm a show jumper on the side, both internationally and nationally. And I think that that's a really important part of my story. That's why I'm here today, and that has driven me every single step of the way. A lot of people told me, you know, you can't make a living out of that. There's no way you can make a living out of social media. No one cares, and that's just a joke. You're just going to play on Facebook all day. And here I am today, and I did it. Some of my past include starting the social media club at the University of Oregon, something I was very passionate about. I think it's really important to bridge business and journalism and all the majors, in that fact, you know, bringing in those environmentalists, talking in all the ways that we can. So I started that at the University of Oregon, and then I moved into startup world, worked in the startup world for a while, and now I'm at Lunar Logic, which is a great opportunity to learn and grow myself.
Cool, thanks. My name's Lauren Jerome. I already introduced myself a little bit, but I'll tell you a little bit that you probably don't know about me. I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I grew up there. I went to school in Ohio. I majored in mechanical engineering. And I was one of about 3 girls in most of my classes. It didn't really bother me much because I kind of grew up as a tomboy, and it just didn't really occur to me. You know, it was obviously like an issue there. I mean, most of my professors were male. Once I finished up there, I decided that I wanted to move into software. I just wanted something that was more hands-on, and so I started retraining myself. And I ended up meeting my business partner, who started Mindbox Studios when I was still living back there in Cleveland. So we started working together. He was doing more of the creative and sales. I was doing more of the technical back-end development. Over time, we hired people to do some of the tasks that I didn't really have the skills, you know, the training to do professionally. And so my role has evolved over time. I went from being a programmer to being a project manager to doing some hiring to, when you're a business owner, you kind of bounce all over the place. And most recently, I've been helping our clients figure out what to build. So I've been taking the product role on most of our more recent clients' projects. And I've also been working on a software product of my own that I took through RAIN in the last cohort, and I highly recommend following up and getting connected with RAIN and seeking out the ID8 and RAIN programming. When I moved to Eugene, it was probably about 6 years ago. I got connected with Code Chops kind of early on, and ended up just trying to kind of really find my place here because I'm remote. I've been 100% remote for at least, I think, 6 or 7 years now. And I found a really great community here, and the tech community has been really welcoming. The startup innovation community has been really growing here. But social media has played a really important part in bridging all of that. Technology for me has always felt like a bridge. I mean, and at this point more than ever, I think technology is bridging into more and more fields. For me, as I moved from city to city, I moved, I think, 6 or 7 times before I moved to Eugene. I collected contacts along the way. And since then I've been able to go back and revisit some of those contacts. And when I've needed help or needed mentorship on something, I've been able to go back and, reconnect with some of those people. So in terms of social media, I think at first it was more of something I adopted out of a necessary evil kind of mindset. But over time it became a really important tool, and that's been, obviously part of what's driven business development. It's actually the only thing that we use to promote tonight's event. So if that says anything. So yeah, I think that's about it for an introduction, and I'll tell you a little bit more about me when we answer some more questions.
Okay, we'll kind of touch on this, but I'll let you guys go ahead and elaborate. So social media tools that you use, how do you use them, and how do you see them strengthening our community here?
Yeah, I'll start on that one again. So social media tools. LinkedIn is huge because it gives you that kind of search feature like you were talking about, being able to pinpoint who is this that I need to talk to. But Twitter is also super valuable because you get this really short message to somebody and really short messages from them back. And it means that you can communicate with them with very little barrier to entry, because I don't know how many of you open your email in the morning and there are 100 new emails that you get to go through in the day, or more. But if you're trying to reach out to somebody in a powerful position, you're going to find that their mailboxes are very full. And for them to even open a mail that is from someone that they start a conversation with you, but it's also just a very nice, succinct way to get through. Also, I have a YouTube channel. I teach technology to students. Even now, I work for code.org, but besides my work there, one of the side projects I do is creating tech videos to get people interested and to present things in new and novel ways. YouTube and Twitter go hand in hand, and Facebook as well. If you can put your videos out there in short little messages letting people know what they are, you'll get views. And the very interesting thing is when you work in tech education, the people you're reaching out to are usually not tech savvy. And so you're not going to get as many followers. People are not going to like your videos. And so you might feel like you're not reaching a lot of people because you're not getting those subscriptions and those clicks. But really, I want to leave with this portion is make sure is consistent across all of your channels. And you don't have to play with every one of your channels every day. But if you do say you use Facebook, different platforms at different levels. I know that those between about the ages of 25 and 35 get a lot of their information from Facebook, for example. Whereas if you go down below 25, you're looking more at the Instagram or even Snapchat kind of prove. Speak to who you are. And then the last thing, I'm not to steal anyone's thunder, but the last thing I want to say is make sure that that brand is protected. Make sure that your platform, whoever you're going to connect to LinkedIn, whatever people are going to find when they Google you, make sure those platforms are very locked down and protected, and you're not putting anything on there that you don't want a future employer to see. If you need to have a page like that that has your bikini photos from vacation and shows pictures of your house with its address and everything, make it a whole separate account. Don't even mess with privacy issues. Just make sure it's something different so that there's no risk of cross-contamination.
Yeah. I have it, just because you're talking about video, I have a little thing I've come up with over the last couple of years, which is kind of, oh, one of my friends just said we're live streaming. Hey! I guess. I think my kids might be watching. Anyway, my Snapchat has been a really fun tool to get to know for me. I really mainly, I don't think I even have very many followers. I'm not even sure how to find out how many followers I have. But I really interact with Snapchat with my kids and a few of their friends. So my kids range in age from 17 to 23. Partly I do that because I'm working on some of this stuff at work, so it's nice for me to see what they're doing, you know. But what I've done is I love the video interface of Snapchat. I used to be on Vine. I was a big Vine fan and addict for a lot of reasons, and I wrote about it professionally and why it was good, and I do think it was a wonderful tool for brand development. Snapchat, the way I use it is I like their little 10-second video. You can write words on it, you can draw on it, you can type on it. So I use the videos a lot. I use the app a lot during work if I'm making content. I will snap stuff, I'll save it to my camera roll. Sometimes I'll post it, sometimes I won't. Sometimes people won't care that much about the robotic arm that I was playing with in the makerspace today. But I'll save all those to my camera roll, and then later I'll use an app called Magisto, M-A-G-I-S-T-O, like magic, but Magisto. You can get a creation tool. It's just, I actually met the CEO and the founder at a conference. I was using it even before I met them. I actually reached out to them via social media and their app to do some biz dev with them. But what I do then is I take my photos and my Snapchat videos, any other videos. I love Instagram, I love the filters, and I get everything in my camera roll. Then I use Magisto, and I just make these little videos. They literally take less than 10 minutes. I see Kate back there when we were doing the Quack Hack. I snapped and made videos all weekend and then put together a really neat little 2.5-minute video, which I think you guys maybe even passed around. Great thing to do, especially if you're a small company and you can't really afford to, I don't want to, anybody here who's a videographer I have complete respect for, so it's not that they're not worth their salt, because they really are if you can afford to do it. But as somebody who's creating content, I do it for HP, I do it for our big huge brand. I often will just do these little videos. So so think about using apps and social media tools in a different way, right? It's really good to be on social media. It is very public. I have worked with these big brands. I don't even put anything on Facebook that I don't assume everybody will see, everybody professionally, so that's just how I do it. I don't have any private accounts either. But in that way, it's actually helped me, I think, a lot, because people have gotten to know me, and part of what I do is, I don't call it sales, but this business development role where I'm connecting people, so that when I do connect to Nick Bell or Guy Kawasaki or these other people I've talked to, they will often go and look you up, right? If you've reached out to them and you've caught their interest, like, who is this person? They'll look at everything, just the way that I look at all of their things. And so they're going to go look at your Facebook. They're going to look at everything. And then they'll say, okay, you look legit. You look like who you say you are. Everything's matching up to me. And so now I feel like I'm going to talk to you and engage with you. So
All right, piggybacking off of that, I would like to add that social media is a total experiment. Half the things that you do, you might not know what you're doing. We have a lot of brands that come to us and they say, you know, what am I doing wrong? I'm not getting any interactions. I'm not getting any followers. What's happening? And we really like to encourage people, you know, get out of your comfort zone. Do something crazy. Do something wild. People on social media love that stuff, you know? Like, who knew a white, gold dress, blue dress, whatever it was going to go viral? No one knew that. That was wild. So break out of your comfort zone. Feel free trying those new things. Try new platforms. Some of the platforms that are my personal favorite are definitely Snapchat. I think the Snapchat is amazing. If you follow me on Snapchat, you get like 20 million different masks every day. But from a brand standpoint, right, like there's a ton of cool things you could do with Snapchat that people haven't thought about. Most recently, I saw a case study that was done with Snapchat where the company had used Snapchat as a customer service tool. And that was a phenomenal idea, right? Because it forces the company to go and reply to their customers because the Snap will delete within 24 hours. So just think outside of the box, be creative, and don't be afraid to take risks on social media. I think that's key. To your point about how can social media save or help the community, I think that's especially important right now. A lot and I just want to stress the importance of putting positivity out there on social media. Social media has also done a ton of good things, so let's keep the good coming, you know. One of the great things that I got to help work on was a social media platform called Anonymous Good, which I'm sure many of you probably haven't heard of. It's a small startup. And what they do is they post acts of good, and then they get sponsored, and then they donate to a great cause. And I think it's things like that that we really need to keep focusing on. Another example of good that social media does is it really gives people a sense of community, like we've all been talking about, as far as LinkedIn and LinkedIn groups and Instagram friends and getting all those likes. It makes people feel appreciated. And even if you hate the person who needs to have 100 likes, it gives them a good sense of self-esteem. And I think that's really important, especially to teens these age. So I just want to throw out a happy note on social media. Just keep it up.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just to add to that, so some of the social media tools I use, I think my sister, who's in the back taking pictures, introduced me to MySpace and Facebook early on, and I was very resistant to both platforms at the time, thought they were both pretty silly. Finally, I did get onboarded onto Facebook professionally because I had clients who wanted to build apps for it. And now I see it as a really strong tool. I use Facebook differently than I use Twitter and LinkedIn. I think they each have their own way of engaging. For me, I use Facebook for sharing things that are a little bit longer, things that are more personal to me. I have connections all over the country and the world from all the places that I've lived, so it's probably my biggest personal network. Obviously, Twitter, and Facebook gives you the opportunity to have things be public or private. But with Twitter, it's really everything is mostly public. I mean, you can set your account to be private, but that's kind of defeats the purpose in a lot of ways. So, when I'm on Twitter, it's more about sharing things that I think that I, care about professionally, sharing stories, promoting things in the community. And when it comes to LinkedIn, it's really more, I use it more for networking and trying to remember the people that I meet and what they're good at, so that when I need someone who's really good at something specific, I can go back through my network and search and find someone with those qualities. So I agree with, I think it was you that said link them all together, and have them all available and people engage in different ways. In terms of how it helps us build stronger communities, I mean, I've personally seen that many times over. I mean, just looking at this group is a perfect example. Like I said, we only promoted on social media. I guess Meetup being kind of in that category. Eugene Tech, if you don't know about Eugene Tech, eugenetech.org. It's a great resource. It's a nonprofit. Mark and Jessica and a few other people.
Raise your hands. You guys do so much work for this community.
Yeah, seriously, it's amazing. If you aren't part of eugenetech.org, there's a Slack community. They're on Facebook. They're on Twitter. They're on Meetup. Basically, at this point, aside from some of the initiatives that they're coming up with that are going to continue to help promote what's going on in our tech community, they just help promote things that are already going on. They do meetups. There's the Tech Tuesday meetup. It's a social event, and the Eugene Women's Women in Tech meetup, that's once a month on the first Wednesday of the month. All of those things are promoted through Eugene Tech. Just recently when I was promoting this event, Mark shared with me a really awesome, handy-dandy guide for getting your stuff promoted on social media by Eugene Tech. They have bots that are scouring the Twitter sphere and other parts of the internet for references to hashtag Eugene Tech. So it's really, again, tech being a great connector in our community. It's a bridge, for people that are trying to get connected. Elaine and I, in putting this event together, we initially thought that it was probably going to be maybe 20 or 40 people that showed up, and we just started promoting. And the more that we started promoting, the more it started to unravel that we found all of these different groups. We found, the Wix group. We found the Tech Together initiative that's also part of the Wix group. There's some other, what was the one that you went to, WISE? There's the Women in Science and Engineering. We got connected to the Fidgets to Widgets folks, and Pam's here, right? Yeah. So there's actually quite a lot going on in the way of trying to educate our youth and getting the school systems connected. A few weeks ago, I was asked by the Technology Association of Oregon to be on a panel for the Lane ESD and talk to a bunch of math teachers in the district on math in real life. What kind of math programming is really relevant. And that was really cool. And from that, we ended up getting connected with, and inviting the math teachers that were there to come to the event. I'm not sure, was anyone at that? I know, Athena, you were there. Was anyone else at that? No. Well, anyway, it's been a great opportunity to make connections, to get people talking, to get, more momentum behind things. And I think social media is kind of the glue a lot of times. And the key in my mind is engaging. I mean, Julie, I think you were saying, you shouldn't feel bad if you put something out there and you don't get likes on it. It's okay. Not everything gets liked. At the same time, if you want people to like your stuff, then you should be out there liking people's stuff. And you should be retweeting their stuff and being engaging and authentic, and not just doing it to try to get to your means to an end, but actually being a friend on social media, not just, that you're connected, but actually treating it like a social media friendship of sorts. What are you doing? What am I doing? Sharing, liking, engaging, and that's, I think, how it really helps build communities.
And one thing we do, I don't know if you guys do, but for brands and even for personal stuff, I have a bunch of friends who are very active on social, and I will, especially on Twitter, private message them. You've gotten a few from me. Said, hey, we're pushing this blog post. We just wrote about Kiki on our blog. We've written about her a couple times on AFP Developers blog. Here's a great article. Here's the link. Could you spare a retweet? And make it really easy, because I copy the link to the tweet, so it's already shrunk down, and Twitter's made it easier and easier to do that. So I have different groups, different lists of groups that I'll say, can you please spread the word here, spread the word here. And people are usually really happy to do it for you, especially if you've been a good friend to them and helped them. And I do it at work for work things. I find the influencers in Twitter, on Twitter, and sort of each niche that I'm going after, get to know them, get to talk to them, become a good social friend to them, and then later on, when I need help spreading the word about something, they're usually more than happy. So it's okay to ask directly, but especially if you've established a relationship with them ahead of time. So.
Great, thanks. Okay, so can you share any tips for people who are entering into a new career? I know we have a number of students here tonight, or people that are looking to change their career and use social media for that as well.
Yeah, this is a really good one, because there's so many ways. Facebook is actually a really great way to join groups and understand what's out there. LinkedIn is an amazing way to connect with people that you never would have met otherwise. One of the top things that I suggest to students who are just kind of entering the industry and don't have many contacts is to start connecting with everybody you talk to in the industry on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not something that most people keep very private and close to their heart, and they're like, oh, I don't know you, I'm not going to connect with you on LinkedIn. Most people are very happy to get as many connections on LinkedIn as possible, because it works both ways, right? So you're actually doing them a favor to connect with them, because you might have walked away and they're like, oh man, I know I was going to connect with them, but I don't remember their name, and you go back and find them and connect with them later. It's really helpful for both of you. But one of the great things you can do is say you're graduating now and you want to work for Apple. And you have no idea how to get your foot in the door at Apple, or this is the case at Nike, any of those big corporations where it seems like a long shot. You look for people that work there, and then you look for connections, and you schedule yourself an informational interview. So this informational interview, if none of you have done it, it is magic. Connected us, that works better if you actually go to your friend and say, is it okay if I drop your name? And say, I'm graduating, or I'm changing careers, or I love doing this job that I'm doing right now, but I'm looking for something bigger. And you say, I would be interested in hearing more about life at a corporation like Apple. Would you be interested, would you let me, would you be willing to set up an informational interview so I can come see the environment, so that I can come ask you these questions that I have. If you don't have the means to actually get yourself out to one of their campuses, set up a Skype or a Google Hangouts interview so that you can say, with something like Skype or Google Hangouts, say it'll be 15 minutes, it'll be half an hour, give them a tight deadline, and say, I will respect your time, I will make sure it doesn't go over that. You can give them questions in advance if you want to, but usually it's much more strong to be authentic. So you can go and you can say, here's some of the things that I was wondering. And so then you build relationships that way, and then they know who you are, and that way, instead of you looking for something, you are interested in something, and then they feel like they get to hunt you. This is something that I often compared in my classes. Your instinct as a manager or someone is to kind of shy away from them and not be interested. But if someone is just very confident, and I just wanted to know, thank you very much for your time, and then they stay in your mind. And you're like, you know, I'd really like someone like that person that I talked to. And then they can reach out to you later. And now that you've made that connection, you can actually reach out to them again in email and say, hey, I noticed that this thing happened in your neck of the woods, or the Apple just did this, congratulations, that was a real great thing. And then you can start forming that sincere relationship and really taking things to the next level. I saw there was a question. Do we want to answer questions, or? Okay.
Just a really quick point.
Yeah.
I agree with most of everything you said, except with one exception. Let's say an informational meeting or just plain meeting or anything, we just don't use the word interview because then they think you're going to ask them for a job.
Interesting. So yeah, I guess results can vary. If you want to shy away from the word interview and just say, if I could talk to you for a few minutes, maybe something like that would work.
One thing I would shy away from, don't say, can I take you to coffee and pick your brain? And I mean this in the best way. I have actually gone to coffee with a few people in this room, and it was awesome. And I really, I'm still thrilled that I met them and they helped me as much as I helped them. The difference is, if you were going to finish, the difference of what you're talking about is I want to take a half an hour of your time, and what I want to do is learn about what you do. It's a totally different thing. There's somebody in this room who I will not embarrass. She said that to me because she was considering a change, I don't know if it was a change in a career, but going for basically a different title, right? So she had always been in this role, and she said, I've seen you on LinkedIn, and I know you well enough. I've seen your career and the steps you've taken, and I'm really interested in that career path, but I'm not quite sure how to get from here to here. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting, and it made me think about how did I get from here to there, and what did I do? It was somehow, and it's like that. I don't really have a lot of time, and that's not just being rude. I really don't. For something or whatever. So if I have one coffee a week, it would be great to talk to somebody that isn't just asking me for something, but is truly somebody that I think is interesting because they told me, or I read their blog, or they, they've somehow said, I'm really interested in your opinion and meeting you. I want to help people.
Yeah, well, and people love to feel respected,
Right.
So as a professional, you love to think that someone else wants to emulate what you've done, or someone else appreciates what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And so having somebody specifically call that out instead of just say, I need connections.
Yeah. So.
I think those are great points. The LinkedIn, joining groups, doing the Facebook jobs that was just released is also a really great tool. I would also kind of like to emphasize the importance of making offline connections. I know we're here talking about social media, which is kind of funny, but it's true. Every time I've been in between internship, every time I've been in between jobs, I've leveraged my offline connections and found a way to connect with them online in a way to help me further my career, find a new job, find the answer to something I'm looking for, a solution to a problem. And like Lauren always talks about this bridge, I think there's an important bridge there too. When I started at Lunar Logic, the first thing they said is, we don't have business cards. And I should be careful with what I say here because my boss is in the audience. But I was like, what are you talking about? How am I ever supposed to make friends? How am I supposed to connect with people? And then I was like, wait, I do social media. And what it actually ended up doing was it forced me to go and make these connections one-on-one in person, pull out my phone, sorry that's rude, but connect with you automatically online. And then what it also forced me to do was to continue that conversation more than just in person, but offline as well. I think this is really important as well. I mean, think about all the resources you already have at your fingertips. You have your professors, you have your classmates, you have church groups or sports groups or whatever that might be. So really harness those connections and tap into them online. I think that I'm still friends or acquaintances online with the majority of people who helped me get to where I am today, whether that be professors or previous mentors or when I worked at the social media. I think that's really crucial, building that bridge and making sure you're present online and offline. I think that's the most helpful thing you can do to help further your career.
Yeah, those are all really good points, and I agree. I want to piggyback on the idea of the groups, especially on Facebook. I mean, I think that there's a lot of good community groups here in Eugene that you can join, in addition to, on LinkedIn and just like different professional groups where there's like someone here from Rain invited me to Women in Product group that's been really helpful. It's some of the different challenges. So it's kind of nice to just be able to join some of those groups and see what people are talking about. And then kind of, again, with the LinkedIn connections, treating LinkedIn like your business card exchange, really just, working on making those connections and following up with people after you meet them. And then I guess the one thing that I want to add, which I think you kind of touched on, is especially I've noticed in the Eugene community, leverage, ask people to go out and chat, not necessarily go to coffee and pick your brain, but don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask people how they got there. Ask people how they like their career. It's not taboo. Just ask the questions that you have and people will be really likely to give you help with it. Yeah, go ahead.
Just to add on that, when I wrote my first book, one of the reasons I was able to get in touch with all the leaders in my industry was because I said I'm writing a book. It'd be amazing to have your expertise on the subject, which is career development. And so I really did I feel like nobody's ever turned away being interviewed for something that's going to be great cause. So that could be like an article, but really
Yeah, I agree. And then, all four of us, and then I actually Elaine as well, we've all had different career training and retrained ourselves at some point. So we're all available if you have questions, if you want to follow up afterwards, and get some more specific advice, just, don't hesitate to ask.
And I think the last thing I'd say about that, where you're asking people for information as opposed to, will you get me a job? I always try to do this in the conversation with how can I help you? What are you working on? How can I help you? And that changes the whole conversation. Maybe don't end the conversation that way. Put it in the beginning somewhere. But people are they want to collaborate. Like I said, I've talked with all kinds of people that are real influencers and famous and things, and as long as you do it in an authentic way, what are you working on? What can I help you with? Then they're like, oh wow, you're awesome. You're a resource to help me. Maybe we can collaborate on something. And but have it be authentic and meaningful. Don't just look out for what you need. If you're a good community member, I think you said with the social media, bringing everybody here in the room. I mean, I'm looking around. There are a lot of people that retweeted this, that shared this on Facebook, that invited their friends. So even if you share a post and you only get 2 or 3 likes on it, there are a lot of people who are seeing it and sharing it. So, yeah.
Great. Okay, so we have a little bit of time. Any questions from the audience for our panel?
I just had a question about paying for advertising on social media. Like having a smaller business, I've experimented with Facebook ads, and I'm on every kind of social media, so I see the different kinds. But just talking about budgeting for it, what would you say is like the first, would you go to like LinkedIn first or Facebook first to pay for ads, and then like prioritizing from there?
Okay, so the question was, how do I decide what to allocate in terms of budget to my paid social media? I think this is a really, really great question. Well, the basis for what we go off of usually is Facebook. It's the biggest platform, the easiest way to get out there, and a majority of people are on it. Of course, this depends from business to business, but definitely recommend using Facebook first. And then what's awesome is that the Instagram ads are, of course, within Facebook. So if you feel as though your demographic is within Instagram, branching into that second. Some of the ladies on the panel might not agree with this, but I think that Twitter is a little bit dying a little bit. It's a little harder to see conversions on Twitter. So I would third move to either Pinterest, depending on the brand, or LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a really cool new way of targeting ads, as far as you can target different levels of what you do, which can be cool, right? Like targeting CFO, CMO versus entry-level people. So that's really fun. And then as far as actually budget and what to decide in terms of dollars, it's also, again, an experiment. I can't give like an exact number. I'd have to connect afterwards. But sometimes it's interesting to see what you can just do with a promoted post before jumping right into the ads. Promoted posts can actually get a ton of traction, a ton of engagement, just because you're engaging with a lot of people who you already engage with, or friends of friends, or people who like your page. So kind of play around with that first and then move into the ads. You can also, this gets way more complicated, but you can also play around with kind of what you're measuring. Are you measuring how many conversions you get on the site, how much traffic you're driving to your site, page likes, and that will all kind of affect your budget. Obviously if your page is paying for a click to your website, you're going to be paying substantially more than if you're paying for a conversion, but you got to think about what type of person you're trying to bring in. So that's a really bit of a complicated question. I mean, if it was me and I don't know your business at all, I would probably just say hit every one with a small budget, see which one performs better, then go on to that one, boost the budget up, and kind of keep playing around, mess with the targeting a little, mess with the demographics, all of that. But yeah, I'd love to connect with you afterwards and talk details.
I think that's really good advice, especially knowing your target market, right? So if you know that your target's on Instagram, yes, but if not, and you just have to guess and check and A/B test, that's a fantastic answer. The other thing I like to do, I've played around with a lot of hashtags. So I don't use Twitter for sales. I agree, it's not, and even on our blog and HP Global Social, and I'm on those calls every 2 weeks, and they're talking about impressions and conversions. They're not getting a lot of sales from there, so it's a kind of a different animal. But the hashtag thing, especially on Instagram, I've experimented with kind of playing with a few different niches to see what I can find. And so really pay attention. If there's somebody you really like and they're in your niche and they're like an influencer, hashtag your post, because I would see traffic go up 50%, just depending on, this is my own little personal Instagram account. But, you can play around and you can watch those numbers and you're like, oh, geez, I didn't know that was a thing. And now it turns out it's the top post on Instagram in that little niche. So, yeah.
I think that's great advice.
Another question? Back over here, yeah.
I was wondering if there were
any social media platforms that you would be more likely to avoid using? So I noticed you haven't mentioned the use of Tumblr or Google Plus.
I can jump in that unless
How many people use Google Plus? I'm just curious.
I use it.
Okay, good.
Cool, I'll take it. Okay, so Google Plus is another dying breed. But however, it is great for SEO. So if that's one of your targets, just be on Google Plus, just reuse your content. You don't need to produce anything special for Google. Tumblr is cool. I mean, I know I haven't talked about it at all because it's a very interesting platform and it is a beast. I mean, all social media is a beast, but Tumblr is a specific beast. There's design that can go into it that probably should go into it. There's constant blog posting, and these are long blogs, not just like fun little 140 character or fun little snippets. Like these are long, intensive blogs. So Tumblr is the beast of the beasts. Definitely for certain audiences, it's appropriate. It's funny because I think of Tumblr as for the younger demographic, but there are actually a ton of older people using it, a ton of small niches using that platform as well. So I think it just really depends on your brand. I mean, if you're willing to feed the beast, give it a try.
Well, especially if one of those.
Oh, no, finish, and then I'll tell you one more tool I like.
Especially if one of the things that you're good at is writing. If you're a technical writer, if you are great at getting your personality out there and writing, then Tumblr is one of those things you can do.
The other one I like is Medium, which is Twitter's blog, and I've used that really successfully. I actually also really like to read the articles on there. You usually good writing, usually. So you're like, oh yeah, Saturday morning. Oh yeah, I'm gonna read that. No, that's 15 minutes. That's too long. Oh, 3 minutes. Yeah, I'll read it. But it's one thing I want to fire up for our social accounts, especially in the technical areas, right? So if you are a tech writer, or say I'm marketing to developers, and I look at Mark because he's right there, and I think, oh, I want to hit Python developers, so I'm going to create some content that goes right to it and tells them how cool this is for this, this, and this. It's searchable. It's informative. It's like a little mini white paper. And then you can pass those Medium articles easily around to influencers who will often retweet it for you. So it can cover any niche, right? So it's a great way, if you're a great writer, or hire somebody to do it for you. It's a good tool.
Okay, I still have a question for you.
Would you say that there's an importance or a significantly quantified impact in targeting niches versus broader targets when it comes to advertising?
Definitely. If you can, I'll give an example here. We have a client who was interested in branching into a new market, specifically the younger market. This client had never been in that market before, had no idea how to market to this niche of younger people. And what we did was we actually targeted what we thought these people would like. And we just went in and took a complete gamble. This was just something we were like, let's just give it a go, like I was talking about earlier. And we actually ended up seeing 50% more conversions in this demographic. And what was significant about this was the clicks on their website hadn't changed at all. These clicks were just more likely to convert. So definitely get in there, target, try something crazy, you might just be trying to target millennials, and you might just say maybe they like popcorn. I don't know, just something crazy, and you can be surprised about what else to do. I think a good tool for this is using the different audience tools that they have within Facebook and Twitter, and really looking in and looking at those fine detailed things of what people are liking that are following your brand. Creating custom audiences within those audience tools in Facebook is also very useful.
Hi, I am a major retail store manager, but I'm also a mom and financially head of household, and I'm looking to change careers. I don't have a degree, and I don't see myself going back to school. I'm in the thick of working, and so my question is, wanting to change careers, it's intimidating applying for jobs, and one of the first things is the bachelor's degree, but then also down at the bottom somewhere or equivalent have a fulfilling career, but also that good home life, work life balance to spend time with my family.
Can I ask kind of a follow-up to that? Do you have a lot of experience already in something new that you're trying to branch into, or are you looking to try and gain that experience?
I would be gaining experience.
Okay. So this is actually one of the places that I'm very interested, because in the technology field, specifically programming, developing, a lot of employers don't even care if you have a lot of experience. And a lot of times you'll start to see those things show up in job applications because their HR people think it should be there, not because it's really what they want. And that kind of goes to what we were talking about earlier with the making sure that posts are targeted at the people you want to hire. But I don't want to turn this into a gender thing, but there is a significant difference in the number of men that will go for something that looks like it's not what they're good at, and the number of women that will go for something. And women tend to shy away from it because they don't want to present themselves as something that they aren't. And so one of the things you need to do is be able to convince yourself, oh gosh, I want this job. I'm going to apply for it, and then I'm going to do all this homework to make sure that I'm ready when the interview gets there. It doesn't mean that you have every single skill they're looking at, and it doesn't mean that you maybe even eventually will be the right person for the job. But the interview doesn't go well, and maybe neither does the second. But each one of those will give you a clue as to what you're still in this position and switch my career now and work up. Or do I still need to put in that homework in order to get to where I can start at a higher position, and I'll wait another year or so to get into it. So don't let it be a fear at all, but just understand that in this industry, rejection is literally just you're not ready yet, or you're not the right match for this particular job. And get used to the rejection, get used to hearing no, and say thank you to it. Because programming, you'll find every single day, your programs tell you no 1,000,000 times a day. And you just, you need to change the way you look at it. And once you're kind of fortified against that, you start to use it as a tool, and it gets to be really, really powerful.
Yeah, and management is a great base. I mean, if you already have management skills and you already have communication and organizational skills, and a lot of times it's not that big of a switch to get into something like project management or product management, depending, or, I mean, there's a lot of different things within that. And one thing after the event, we do have a resource list of groups in the community, online resources for training and whatnot that we're going to post up on the Facebook group and the Facebook event and the meetup event. So if anyone's not connected on either of those platforms, connect after the event and we'll shoot that out. So there's a lot of opportunities there.
We've got time. There's one more question over here, and then we need to break into activity. So you have a question?
Oh yeah. So I didn't hear you guys talk about email listing at all, but that's still one way to reach customers. Do you guys think that's dying out, or do you use it in the process?
I think it's really important.
Yeah,
There was a trend a while ago that was like, marketing is dead. Not true at all. One little case study I had for us, I did a little pilot. It was actually awesome. It was a blogger, and she's a recipe blogger. She's a crockpot blogger. Stephanie O'Day is her name. She was a crockpot lady. She had no experience. She was a mom who was running a daycare and wanted to do something different. And this was when starting a blog and monetizing it was a little bit easier way back when. But she has kept it going, and what she did is she had all this content. 365 days was her crockpot was her blog idea, and every day for a year she made something in her crockpot and wrote about it. And then she got a big following, and she was making $20,000 or $30,000 a month on her blog. You can't do that now with ads. Like, the whole model has changed. Anyway, in the process, she kept an email list, right? So she's got over 60,000 people on her email list, and she was trying to figure out new ways to monetize. She's very entrepreneurial, very smart woman. So I knew her from, I had met her before at blogging conferences, and I said, hey, we want to do a pilot to see, because I'm at HP in the print division, if bloggers can repurpose their content, and if people would want to pay for prints at all. Not pay for prints, but if they would want to print anything from your blog. And she's like, oh, I'll give it a try. So we helped her repurpose her content she already had on her site. So stuff that everybody could get for free. and repurposed it into PDFs that were meal plans and weekly. She had conversations with them. And anyway, so we tried this pilot. You could buy a meal plan for $2.95, or you could buy 24 of them for $26 or whatever in a bundle. She sold $6,000 of PayPal and her site, made $6,000 just from emailing her mailing list. She didn't do any advertising. She didn't even post it on Facebook or Pinterest. She's got, I don't know, 60, 70,000 people on Pinterest. She didn't do anything but email them. Wow. And she made $6,000 on these $2.95 printings. So that was my biggest thing. Email is not dead. She knows her market. She knows her base really well. And she said, hey, you guys, I'm trying this new thing. Literally 2 emails she sent that month. So that's a small business case study.
Email's not dead, I agree, totally. Again, bringing that back to the new technology. Email is evolving like crazy too. Right now we have lead gen ads on Facebook, which are ads that are literally just asking you for your email. Those are just a recent addition. Email is being used every day. Now also MailChimp just announced that they're integrating with Facebook ads as well. So I wouldn't say email is dead in no way, but it's just evolving like crazy, and just kind of keep up with the technology of how to evolve it. Use those email lists that you're receiving in different ways as well, besides just sending emails. Use those for campaigns, remarketing campaigns. Use those email lists, use the exclusion lists, use all the lists you can use, and I think that email is just another tool in your pocket.
Right, and just kind of adding on to that, like a lot of our clients, like a lot of people out there, a lot of our clients are getting into the marketing automation tools, and we're really helping them get onboarded. So once you get to a certain point, you can automate some of the interactions with email to get people engaged and tied all together.
And I know at HP, we're looking for a conversion rate, like anything over, is it 0.5 is considered good in an email conversion. So, which seems crazy, but like if we get an email, we send out, 1 million emails, and we get, 1% that click that link. That's awesome. So that's kind of crazy, right? So from a small business perspective, especially if you're making really good content and you know your audience, it's not too hard to beat 1%.
Yeah.
So
totally. Great. Well, I'd like to thank our panel. A couple of announcements. I'll let Kiki talk about the activity that we've got available, but there is a new group on Facebook, Redefining Women In Tech, Eugene and Springfield. If you want to go ahead and join that, you'll find out more about our activities. And mark the calendar. Our next event will be April 12th, and our topic there will be STEM.
Great, thank you. So we are going to do a